and is to gather public input so that the select board can produce an ATV ordinance. And I know there's been conversations about it has to be a vote of the people, but by statute, get the right one. This is in chapter 4, chapter 5. This is related to citizens' petitions. And that's something we found out in the process. The petition that was turned into the town last year should not have been accepted because it goes under ultra varies. And that's the municipal office can reasonably refuse to place a petition article on a warrant where it would be beyond the power of the voters of the town to act upon a particular article, such as an action said to be ultra varies, which is Latin, means beyond the powers. It goes on, get back over here. Whether or not municipal office, selectmen, councils designate a particular road ATV access route is entirely within the discretion. The decision rests exclusively with them. The public, of course, may attempt to influence their decisions, but the municipal officer's choice is not delegable to the subject to override by the voters. When it comes to regulating the use of local roads, the municipal office are in the driver's seat regardless of municipal forms of government. This next one, motor vehicle and traffic parking. The municipal office have exclusive authority to enact all ordinance regulating traffic and parking. ATV use falls under traffic. So I just wanted to clarify before we get started. Our goal is we're going to work on creating an ordinance for the town, but we want input from what people in Wilton would like. Ultimately, it is an ordinance that will be enacted by the select board. It's not going to happen tomorrow, folks. Anybody here on the board have anything they want to say? We're ready to take public comment.
I have a question, Jacob. Are you telling me that the citizens of Wilton do not vote on adopting an ordinance, that it's within the purview of the select board exclusively to adopt ordinances, whether we vote on it or not?
No. In this particular case, yes, because under statute, you can't override state law. You, the voters. The state law delegates that authority to the municipal officers on the roads. A lot of ordinances, well, we're going to have a bunch of ordinances, zoning ordinances coming up at our annual town meeting on the 22nd. Those you vote on. This particular, because it's strictly about the roads, and state law says municipal officers have the sole authority over that.
So what you were just reading from right there was you were actually reading the statute as it reads on the state of Maine, whatever. Is that what you were reading, or were you reading a communication from the town's lawyer?
No, it's not from the lawyer, it's from Maine Municipal.
Yeah, this is one of the manuals through, yes. Right.
Okay. Do you have, by any chance, the statute in particular that says that?
Yep, it's under Title 12, 13157-A, operation of motor vehicles. following provision, this is number 3, operating ATV on a controlled access highway. The following provisions govern the operation of ATVs on controlled access highways. And the person may not operate an ATV on controlled access highway within the right-of-way limits of a controlled access highway, except that a person or properly designated may cross controlled highways. This just tells how you do it.
But it is under Title 12, subsection 13157-A.
Thank you.
It's long.
Yeah, I can look it up.
Operating on public road. Okay. Yes, I'm going to. I was going to be what Justin said. So if you would introduce yourself, your name, your town residence, and what your association with Wilton is. So are you all set with that?
I am.
Okay.
Yes.
What was your name?
My name is Kim Lassard-Guyson. I'm a resident of Wilton. I live on Temple Road, which is now an access trail.
Justin?
David, you tell them it's 2 minutes.
2 minutes, yeah. So Phil is going to be a timekeeper, because if everybody, some people can be long-winded, we keep it to 2 minutes, it's still going to be here a while. So be respectful, you know, we're here to gather information.
Okay, my name is Justin Anderson. I'm a Wilton resident as well as a business owner here at Wilton. When you come into the town of Wilton, you pass by a sign that says, "Welcome to Wilton, a great place to live, work, and play." And I think we can all agree that once upon a time, if you lived in Wilton, you could work in Wilton. There was maybe a manufacturing economy that doesn't exist today. The economy is changed. All across the state of Maine, the economy has changed. In the state of Maine, the outdoor recreation economy is a $3.4 billion economy. And if we want to thrive as a town of Wilton, I think we need to tap into this economy and not let it just pass us right by. So in order for us to do that, we need to work together. We need to come up with viable solutions that we all can agree upon. And the ATV access route, in my opinion, is vital to tapping into this economy. Number one, we need connections to other towns to bring riders to our town. And number two, we need access to our businesses so that we can realize that economy. So if we don't have a connection, we're not going to get riders, and if we don't have access to our businesses, we're not going to be able to participate in this economy. And I think we all should consider that. We have some great restaurants, service businesses, we have MSP, we have all kinds of great things here in Wilton, including the lake. And I think we really need to provide access to those things and look at the economy in the future, not just what it is today. Thank you very much.
Who's next?
My name is Nancy Marrow, and I live on Paconis Corner Road in Wilton, where I'm a voter and a taxpayer. And I understand that we want people to come into our town to live, to work, and to play. And it has to be a town of quality in order for people to want to do that. And they have cars and trucks. I mean, I know that many people have ATVs. I live on a farm, and a lot of farmers have ATVs. And there's rules associated with the use of those vehicles. But in terms of needing ATVs to get into town, people have cars and trucks. And we are not able to police the cars and the trucks. I own a building in downtown Wilton, and I typically go there almost every day. I have done that for the last 20 years. And I went down there fairly early Sunday morning, last weekend, and it was covered with police cars and fire trucks, and a man in a small white car had hit the lamppost across from Ambition Brew, and he sailed down Main Street and crashed into the concrete wall by the bridge leading to the library. And I guess he was unhurt, and I'm glad about that. But it wasn't fun for me. You know, I took pictures of all of that, and shortly after they had cleaned it up and left, I saw a young mother with a very small child walking across the bridge to go to the book drop. And if she had been there a few minutes earlier, she'd probably be dead, and the child.
Talk about ATV.
But I'm talking about lack of safety.
So, let's have one talking at a time. Nancy's time has run out. Who wants to be next?
I will. My name's Greg Neve. I'm a resident of Wilton. I totally agree that we need to probably bring up the subject. People on the Temple Road don't like traffic up and down there. I get it. Instead of closing one, I propose that we open up more roads like Greenville does and Jackman and everybody else. Let me finish. That is why Greenville and Jackman and Bingham and all them reap the benefits from the four-wheelers. You know, we can't shut down the tourists. We don't want the tourists going someplace else. They're not going to come to Wilton by truck. They're not doing it.
Right.
It's been proven. That's pretty much all I got to say.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm actually from North J, but I was raised right here in Wilton, so I guess I feel like I have a piece. My name is Diana Ladd, and I live in North J, and if you do away with the access route, I have no way to get to Temple. Ultimately, no way to get beyond. We pay a lot of money for these pieces of equipment. We do this for fun. It's something that we pride ourselves in as the state of Maine. I paid about $16,000 for this, and it's something my husband and I did as an investment. So what I'm getting at is I really love coming to Wilton, going to Sears Market, being able to drive down, and now I can actually go in town to the town that I absolutely love. Probably would have stayed here, but things changed for me in my life. So I love coming to Wilton. Wilton is my town, even though I don't fully live here. So that's first of all. Second of all is, like I said, going to Temple. Temple lets you ride on all the roads. So up until this access route, you had to load up your truck. You had to drive all the way to the little red schoolhouse. And then you had to go forward. It's just so nice to be able to leave my house in North J and go this way. Or I can go actually down to Bretton's and I can go on further. But I would prefer to come to Wilton. I would prefer to go to the square. I would prefer to go to Ambition. I would prefer to spend my money locally. And that's really all I have to say. So I really hope this can help.
Yes, sir. Yep.
Can I go on?
Yep.
My name is Mike Tortorella. I'm a resident of Wilton. And I moved here approximately 3 to 4 years ago. And I came from a congested, highly regulated area, okay, that you couldn't run an ATV, you couldn't run a snowmobile, you couldn't run anything, okay? You get it impounded, and what I got to say is you got a great freedom over here, okay? Don't kill the goose that laid the golden egg, okay, is what I'm trying to say. I'm all for ATVs, I'm all for snowmobiles, road act. Just, there is a couple of bad apples that do the wrong thing, okay? Maybe we should just enforce the law on what we have already and not restrict more stuff, okay? But again, what I'm saying is you got a great freedom over here and we should not kill it.
And I will say, part of having an ordinance, once we have an ordinance in place, then the police department can enforce. We had a policy, but we found out it was unenforceable. That's why our legal counsel had us do away with the policy and told us to create an ordinance. Then you have something, it's a town ordinance.
Well,
that it's enforceable.
if you have 90 people that want to obey the law, okay, and 10 that don't, the people that want to obey the law can let on to who the bad apples are, I can say that much.
Debbie?
Hi, Debbie Joseph. I live in Wilton since '98, and surprise to me, I got off a plane from Florida one day, and there was a sign at the bottom of my road, Temple Road, that said, ATVs allowed, sunrise to sunset, 20 miles an hour. There was no public notice or meeting about it. They just put it on it because that's what some people wanted. Now, the problem with it is, for one, if ATVs are on our road and we hit them with our car or they hit us in our car, we are responsible because the ATV people are not responsible, do not have to have insurance. So talking about safety, that's a big concern of mine, plus financial, if one of these is speeding down the road. And just the other day, I had one behind me. I slowed to 20, he's right behind me. I went to 40, right behind me. I slowed back to 20, right behind me. I went back up to 40, right behind me. Sorry, might have been 38, because it's 35-mile-an-hour speed limit. I'm exaggerating a little, but I'm not exaggerating about the ATV following me. And that was just one. I'm thankful my house is 500 feet off the road, but I still hear them coming from miles. And like I said, I'm not against ATVs. I have one, I like them. But the fact that it got pushed through without our acceptance or input is a stick in my craw. But the other part is what people are doing coming downtown to the breweries down here is they're drinking and they're driving up Depot Road. And I know people that live on that road that see them at 10 o'clock at night. They're drinking and they're driving. And ordinance or law or policy doesn't matter because we don't have police to enforce it. They have too much to do with domestic violence and everything else that's more important than speeding ATVs. I'm telling you, it's more like 90 out of 100 that are speeding. It's the minority, because I actually drove down to the rail trail from my house, and I had a hard time going 20 miles an hour.
Time is up, Debbie.
Okay.
Thank you. Ms. Mary?
Hi, I'm Tracy Dunham. I'm from the Temple Trail Riders. I am the secretary. I also was a selectman on the board from Temple. And I know that it is up to the select board whether they open access without public input. So that is why all the trails are open in Temple. I think it's a great thing for families that do it. I live on Day Mountain Road, right off on the Swamp Road. I hear ATVs go by my house. I think it's great because families are out being together, doing things. The kids are not sitting home on their phones playing video games. They're doing something, they're enjoying our great state. And I don't see why a few bad apples are trying to say that it's everybody, and it's not.
My name is Daleen Tyler, and I'm a resident of Wilton. I am new to the four-wheeling. I enjoy it. I don't really drive, my husband does, but I love going through the woods, seeing the scenery. It's just relaxing.
Exactly.
It is very relaxing. I mean, my husband laughs at me because I see a deer. I don't care, it's wildlife. It's beautiful, okay? You can learn learn a lot out there, people. Really can. I live right on the Weld Road. I have haul trucks coming down. I hear them all out. I hear motorcycles. You know what? Whatever. It's part of life. Be happy. Just be happy. And let everybody enjoy something in life.
Amen.
Martha Easton, I'm with the Temple Trail Riders, and today I went down to the Wilton Police Station just to see what the complaints are on that Temple Road. I live on an access road in Day Mountain, so she sent me an email with all the different complaints of what has happened. And in 2025, there was 7 complaints, and when I tried to read through them, I mean, they redact names-wise, but it seems like most of the times it was, he gave more warnings, so there was 35 and a 20, when technically ATVs can ride the roads at the speed limit, so that's why he didn't give tickets. And then this year so far, there was 8 complaints, but 6 were before the trails even opened. So you're gonna always have that factor go up. So far, and again, it was just minor speeding things. Yes, there was, and then actually a year before, he mentioned he had a big group come through and everybody's doing the right thing. So it's not a big issue, I don't believe. And I live on an access road too. But I have I'll give you the police reports when I give, just so you can look at them. You see them, yeah, so you see it.
My name is Lee Lowell. I live right at the beginning of Temple Road. And let me say, the amount of times I have been woken up by a motorcycle, a loud truck, a Honda Civic with a fart can backfire, too many times. And I've only lived there for 2 years. And I can tell you what, I'd much rather hear an ATV, a dirt bike, or a side-by-side going past my house, seeing kids smiling from ear to ear. Not even just kids, most adults. I know people, including myself, I had the right to, I made enough money, I could buy an ATV before I could even afford a car. This was back when Farmington ATV trails were open. I could drive from Farmington to Phillips, Madrid, Roxbury, Canton, all over. I could go to job where I was working at any point in time almost, just from my ATV. I didn't have access to it. My parents didn't have money to give me a vehicle. But I was able to work for that and get myself to work just like other people are today. Whether they're downtown Wilton, going to MSP, I work at Tire Warehouse in Farmington. I drive my side-by-side to work all the time. It is cheaper on gas. For the economy right now, the price of gas, it's cheaper to ride. My ATV, my side-by-side, my dirt bike than it is my own vehicle. It benefits so much to everybody having these trails open, and the more we can open, the more it benefits more people. Yes, it's going to be, there's always everything, there's always a con for every positive, there's always a positive for every con. We can't win everything, we can't win it all, do I believe that we should upforce some of these new policies and get some in the right path more? Absolutely. Game wardens are at the boat launch almost every day in Wilton. Every day, I go down there all the time with my kids and my dogs. Game wardens are down there all the time, greeting us, just checking, see what's going on, hearing, they ask. Hey, have you seen anybody else that's been, suspicious or been tearing up the trails? The right people are going to give the right information. Everybody has game cameras now. If you know and you have somebody speeding past your house all the time, get a game cam. Get the proper evidence so we can get the proper people getting fined, and they will get their rights taken away. The bad apples will go away.
Business owners? Where?
Nikki Gerard. I live in Wilton and have businesses in Wilton. I live on an access route. And I really appreciate having all these people come into town, people that wouldn't normally come into town, spending their money, boosting the local economy. And they're not just boosting Wilton's economy. If they're coming from Temple and trails that connect to Temple and coming down through Wilton, they're going to Jay, they're going to Farmington, they're spending their money in the greater community. And that all trickles back down into our business, everybody's businesses. It's, boosting, rising tide raises all ships. So I think it's great for business, and I think it's just as recreation for families to get out there, to spend time together, enjoying the short summer season that we have here. And I think somebody else pointed out that really recreation is a huge business in this state. We rely on that. We rely on tourists, and many of them are tourists that are staying at local camps or whatever, and they're riding their ATVs. And so that's more money coming in that wouldn't normally be here.
Yes, sir. Dennis Brown, a resident of Wilton. I have an ATV, use it on my property. I do not allow them on my property for my own use. That being said, since this whole thing has gone down, we're having more and more noise, dirt bikes with unrestricted mufflers, kids going up through there with wheelies. It's getting worse, it's not getting better. Our quality of life has gone down. Our taxes sure as the hell have. Okay? I'll say that much. It hasn't changed. There should be some enforcement at the very least. The other thing is respect for our town. I sat out here in the parking lot a minute ago before I came in, and I watched an ATV. I could have the ATV take the cigarette out of his mouth, throw it down on the ground, and snuff it out, and it's in the parking lot right out there right now. That's respect for our property, our school, and whoever did it, I won't point him out, he'd ought to pick it up. That's disgusting. Thank you.
James?
Good evening, my name is James Butler, I'm a resident of 10 Rowell Street in Wilton. I'm also the owner of the Square downtown Wilton.
James, could you speak up?
Sorry about that. I'll start over. I'm James Butler. I live at 10 Rowell Street here in Wilton. I'm a resident. I own the Square downtown Wilton at 280 Main Street. I'm here tonight to support ATV access. I have some notes here. I just want to encourage the select board to support and expand ATV access across the town roads. I look at this as a simple common sense standpoint. It's great for our community. It's a massive boost for our downtown businesses. We all know that having the great asset with the Whistle Stop Trail connecting us to Farmington, Livermore Falls, and beyond. It brings a ton of people into our area every single weekend. But if those riders can't legally get from the trails down Depot Street onto Main Street, they're just not going to stop. They'll drive right past us, pack up their trailers, and spend their money in the next town over. When riders have legal access to downtown, they become customers. They become regulars. They need gas, they need snacks, they want a place to sit down and get a bite to eat. As the owner of the Square, I see that firsthand what a difference that makes. When town folks park their ATVs downtown responsibly, they come into our local shops, they fill our seats at our tables, and that money stays right here in Wilton to support local jobs. We have 20 full-time, part-time employees just at the Square. I know some folks worry about noise or speed, but the truth is the local clubs, or the vast majority of the riders, are incredibly respectful. They don't want to lose their trail privileges, they want to follow the rules, keep to the daylight hours, and stick to the speed limits. It isn't about making our streets a free-for-all, it's just about making a safe, connected path so people can get to Main Street. At the end of the day, supporting ATV access is just good for Wilton, it helps the local business owners, keeps our downtown alive and busy, and supports the folks who live and work here. I also want to thank our police department, our fire department, our game wardens for the thankless job they do trying to enforce the laws, whether they're motor vehicle laws or ATV laws. Thank you for your time in supporting this matter.
Who's next?
I'm Linda Storr. I live on Depot Street, one of the main access roads to Wilton. I am not against ATV access at all. And I have seen an awful lot of very responsible riders stopping and actually buying snacks when somebody's selling lemonade. I've seen somebody pull over a little to let a vehicle go by. I've seen families loaded up having a great time. I have also seen dirt bikes riding down the sidewalks, pulling wheelies right at the end of my driveway. They come off the Munson Road and see how fast they can get to 50. And I don't spend a lot of time on my front porch. But when I am outside, that's what I see. I see responsible riders, but then I don't see responsible riders. Getting an ordinance and somehow getting it policed so they can just keep an eye out, like on a Saturday morning or when there's a lot of traffic on the weekends. Just have somebody watching the main access roads. That's all I'm asking.
Jason?
Hi, my name is Nathan Hilt. I live on Depot Street in Wilton. At the beginning of this talk, we heard about the purpose of this meeting is to gather public input to design an ordinance which has not yet been created and would presumably take a lot of effort, a lot of components to it. One of the components that ordinances often have is a section called adoption of amendments. What's the process for changing it? The zoning ordinance and the cannabis ordinance require a special town meeting. That's just an example. The intensity of this debate is greater than it had been last year. The level of intensity will continue to rise in the future. One reason is because it continues to occur without access to the necessary data on which to make a decision. The data I am referring to, of course, are the experiences of a sufficient number of people who are on these roads on a regular basis. Now, just yesterday, we had at our annual town meeting an advisory vote in which 800 registered voters shared opinion on a multiple choice question. This meeting, I can't count exactly, but might have about 50 registered voters in town. I'm just guessing. I would rather have the input of 800 people in the ordinance rather than 50 registered voters. Town government has been holding meetings on this subject for years. They have tried to get participation by posting meetings on their website, Facebook, and electronic sign. I myself knocked on doors on Temple Road a couple weeks ago, and by the end of it, I was only left feeling that I knew less about the situation than when I had begun. The conversation continues to spin its wheels, same talking points, people each clinging to their view. We shouldn't have to live this way. Humans overcame this challenge 2,000 years ago. They developed a system called voting. This is the tried and true method to give elected officials the information they need to know how to do their job. There are about 3,000 registered voters in Wilton. Those are the people that the select board answers to.
Thank you.
Thanks, Nate.
Anyone else? Maxine?
Maxine Brown, I live on Temple Road.
Speak up, please.
Maxine Brown, I live on Temple Road. The biggest issue is the enforcement, the lack of enforcement. It's been like that from day one. We've been putting up with this for 5 years, this an invasion of our road.
It has not been open for 5 years.
Up to 5 years since they've been talking about it.
The access road has only been open for
No, just one at a time, please, ma'am. It's your time.
I'd like you to promise, first of all, that there will be enforcement. As of right now, there's no policy, there's nothing governing the ATVs. My proposal is that you shut down Temple Road until there is some type of policy, some type of governorship. You're saying they can't enforce it because there's nothing there. That's why it's being invaded and being abused. People know that nobody's watching them. Memorial weekend, I requested the police to come up on Saturday to police our road. They came up for 4 hours and they did stops to a lot of speeders, but they weren't there all day. And there was hundreds of ATVs. And we didn't ask for this. We live in a rural area. We go up there for the peace and quiet. And that's pretty much my argument.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
I lived on